Well, I guess you could take Jackson Powers Johnson and Brock Bowers off the Rams draft list. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Jackonsian, and this is RamView, the March 11th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right. And, of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. Every minute of every second of this episode counts. Trying to keep it down low to a 40 to 50 minute mark feels low. I feel like we could have started broadcasting at 11 a.m. and still keep on talking right now. I got a temptation to do a show like that one day. Just run for about 3 hours and just keep going and going because maybe next year we will on a day like this. Now, no one's officially signed, but a lot of people have agreed, and so a lot of stuff is happening. And so the first launch where they turned the keys today came when the Rams signed or agreed to terms. I might say signed as the day goes on, but you know what we mean. They've agreed to terms. Nothing can be official until March 13th. The Rams have agreed to a 3-year, 51-rock deal for guard Jonah Jackson, a left guard and a key dude for the Detroit Lions offensive line last year. He was a third-round pick, 75th overall in 2020 out of Ohio State. So, you know, he's a road grader, right? 6'4", 311, and he's the Rams' new left guard. Guaranteed 34 rocks. The deal looks a lot like Dotson's deal. It'll be interesting to see what his cap hit is for 2024 because it's, you know, what 3 years, 51. It boils down to 17 a year. But we know that as Dotson's deal boiled down to 3 for 16 a year. We know it's like you front load it, you back load it to create more space for the present time. So basically, however, what McSneed is saying is no one is coming up the middle on Matthew Stafford this year, right? And the Rams look like they're going to do a federal pounding. And I guess the talk about Steve Avila moving to center wasn't as crazy as most people thought. Now, I was with a few people suggesting it. I didn't take a beating for it, but I saw a few Ram content makers take a beating for suggesting Steve Avila, and it doesn't look too stupid now, does it? In fact, that's a lot of beef right there at the guard center spot there, and that's a great move. Speaking of Kevin Dotson, the contract that I was asked, what is he being paid this year? I think Bill, loyal listener Bill, asked us, what is he being paid? What's his cap hit this year? So his cap hit is only 12 and a half rocks, 12.6 this season. It goes up to 17 next year and 17 the year after that. Avila's is only 2.1 this year, so the Rams are still getting a bargain there. So it's interesting to think, what did they do? What is Jackson being paid this year? So that gives the Rams more flexibility in terms of free agency, the draft, and of course, you know, they're going to need several coins to pay their draft picks because they got a full selection of draft picks, including a first rounder. Then breaking after Jonah Jackson was the report that the Rams were signing former Seahawk tight end Colby Parkinson out of Stanford. They were giving Parkinson 3 years, 22 and a half rocks, 15 and a half guaranteed. He was a fourth-round pick, 133 overall in 2020 out of Stanford. He's 6'7", 251. He's had back-to-back 25-catch seasons, which is really nice. But what's nicer, of course, when you look at the McVay system, he's a solid blocker, and he's got size. And so he seems like a perfect fit for the Rams right now. It also tells you the condition of the Rams tight end room. Tyler Higbee, we knew wouldn't be back until what? Thanksgiving, maybe a tiny bit earlier. And Hunter Long, he didn't go down too soon before that. He went down in December 10th, with an MCL. That's an MCL, not an ACL. And so that room is looking pretty thin. You're not going to bring in those guys from the practice squad to really do anything. They're just filling roster spots. And then on top of that, Bryson Hopkins, farewell and adieu, right? He's not coming back. So it looks like the Rams found a complement to Davis Allen. And so that's looking pretty good. Again, as I opened up, Ram fans could take Jackson Powers Johnson and Brock Powers off their board. Bryson Hopkins is gone. And if they have any reunion with Coleman Shelton, it'll be for the veterans minimum if he doesn't sign someplace else, right? So bang, what a day. Great signings. I mean, these are great because I didn't see speculation anywhere about any of these players. Again, that's brilliant because these guys are paid. The McSneed front office there is paid to do this. And for no one, I didn't see anywhere in media anyone suggesting these guys. It's just an idea that, man, these guys do their job and they do it well. Real excited about these signings. I think it moves the board a little bit, right? The signing of Jackson. I'm all for drafting another offensive lineman, but you don't have to draft one now with pick 19, with pick 52, maybe not even with pick 50, with 83. And so that gives the Rams to add more depth. I'm not against drafting an offensive lineman in any of those places, but it looks less likely definitely at 19 and 52. So this was a great move by the Rams. So, and there's plenty of talent deeper in the draft than with this offensive lineman this year. So they can get someone at a cheaper price and develop them. David Bakhtiari, who's in the news today because he got cut. Remember, David Bakhtiari, all-pro left tackle, was a 4th-round pick by the Packers back in 2013, right? So it's talking about what you can do. Remember, the Rams' current starting left tackle, who they've tendered, Alaric Jackson, was a free agent, right? Was an undrafted free agent. Rob Havenstein's a 2nd-round pick. Jonah Jackson, we just shared what he was originally. He was a 3rd-round pick. And so, you don't need that 1st-round pick all the time. Also, with Brock Bowers, him and Jadavon Sanders of Texas were the only 2 tight ends really highlighted to go in the first 100. And the Rams were going to need tight end help. And so it came from the free agent market. They got the depth there in Parkinson. He's a blocker. He's big. He's another target for Stafford, maybe around the goal line. And I'm sure the Rams had their eyes on him. And so that's going to be a nice addition there. So bang, what a day. And it turns your focus in the draft to you're still looking at edge, possibly free agency, and you're still looking at corner. And you don't have to take a receiver at 19 or at 52, but you can get one a little later on. But offensive line, that void has been filled, and the Rams look really good. I mean, you're looking at Avila, who runs about 332, Jonah Jackson, who runs about 311, and then you got Kevin Dotson, who's in the 320s. And so you look at the left side of the Rams offensive line, it's the Jacksonian age, right? Those guys expect to be there hopefully for a while, unless the Rams make a move. Over the weekend, the NFL settled its official draft order, and not much changed for the Rams, 19, 52, and 83. But that Raheem Morris pick went from 100 to 98. So Rams picked up 2 spots there. Now, you might say, so what's the big deal? 2 spots, right? Well, with the number 98 pick in the NFL draft in the past, the Rams got a pretty good tight end named Roland Williams. They won a Super Bowl with in 1999. But more importantly, they got a cornerback named Rod Perry with the 98th overall pick. So you can get super talent at number 98. So that's just something to think about there. All right. They also got picks 153, 154, 195, 209, 213, 217, and a pick in the 7th round at 254. And that is final. This is where they're drafting. And that's set. So that's really cool. Bang, bang day again in the NFL. So many things happened. So many things over the weekend. Chris Jones got the bag in Kansas City. He's paid, I think, a little less than is it Nick Bosa, and a little bit more than Aaron Donald. It's almost tragic, right? It's this was supposed to be the end of the run for Kansas City. They weren't supposed to be able to re-sign Chris Jones or L'Jarius Sneed, and they tagged Sneed. They signed Jones. Jones is going to be making like 31 rocks a year, and they're viable going into next year. And now this frees them up in their draft to look for an offensive player and another wide receiver, as if Patrick Mahomes needs any help. That's pretty special for KC. They got Chris Jones under there. Pretty special for the Steelers. Signing Russell Wilson to the league minimum was at 1.2. And I wouldn't even fiddle around with a quarterback battle. I wouldn't fiddle around with it. I would just go and make Russell Wilson your starter until Kenny Pickett beats him and take advantage of an NFL quarterback. I'm not a huge Wilson fan. I had some interaction with, who was it? Oh, loyal RamView follower Tim Burns. He shared as a Rams fan that he always, Russell always kicked our butt. And I just never had that feeling. The last 6 years, Wilson was in Seattle. I felt like he was a good quarterback, but I never feared him. And I've made this redundant over and over again. I always worried more about the 49ers backup quarterback more than I did Russell Wilson. He would make a splash play, but he was never consistently great against the Rams. But he's a good NFL quarterback, but he's missing something. I've talked about it. There's some chip missing here, and so he's going into Pittsburgh. He's still better than Kenny Pickett. Let him start, and you're getting him at a bargain, and make some moves, man. Get rid of one of those punky receivers. Bring in a little more talent, maybe along that offensive line. You've got running backs. You got receivers, you got a tight end, you got a defense, and go and knock some skulls, Pittsburgh. Do this year what we expected you to do last year. Just, go with Wilson, not Pickett, all right? Or just listen to some Wilson Pickett, okay? And it'll go from there. Not in a chronological order here, but just randomly throwing things out. Mac Jones, the former number 1 draft pick quarterback of the New England Patriots, was sent to Jacksonville for a 6th rounder. It's kind of a reminder of how bad that quarterback draft was in 2021. Yeah, I think you had, who was it? Was it Trevor Lawrence? Who was the first quarterback taken in 2020? But either way, you had Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, and Mac Jones, and nobody wants these guys, right? Nobody wants these guys. Everyone's trying to give them away. Not a whole lot of home runs in that draft. Kirk Cousins, who was drafted many years ago by the Washington Redskins, when they were still the Redskins, he signs with Atlanta or agrees to a 4-year, 180 rock deal, 45 per season, 100 rocks guaranteed to go to the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons got Kyle Pitts, who we're waiting for something to happen with. They got Drake London. They got Bijan Robinson. They got a lot of talent there. They got a good offensive line. They just need a quarterback. But they've made a serious commitment to Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury at the age of 36. That just tells me Arthur Blank is getting old and older, and he wants that Super Bowl before he cashes out. And I think it's a bit of a roll of the dice just because of his age. Just something to think about. Baker Mayfield signs for about 3 years, 100 rocks to stay in Tampa. It's good they got that worked out. That's a good marriage. Mike Evans is staying. If Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins, Atlanta suddenly becomes a player in that NFC South, along with Tampa Bay. Carolina and New Orleans are in another lower sphere there. Around the NFL and other places continued. Mitch Morse re-signed with Buffalo for a cheaper price. Green Bay cut David Bakhtiari. The Broncos gave up on Jerry Jeudy for a 5th and 6th. And, that makes sense. They spent a high draft pick on that guy, but you act like a douche, you get bounced like a douche. And the Broncos are going to find out if Tim Patrick has anything left to give and maybe match him up with Mims and, of course, Cortland Sutton. Josh Jacobs leaves the Raiders, signs with Green Bay. I think that's good. I think the Raiders' window isn't open. Green Bay's window is. This frees the Raiders up to do some different things, so good for them. But the Packers, besides Bakhtiari, they put Aaron Jones in the street, and the cut of those two guys combined saved them close to 37 rocks. Now, big changes in Green Bay, but they're hungry signing a receiver or running back like Jacobs. Saquon Barkley going from Philly to New York, from New York to Philly for 37 rocks for 3 years. That's about 12 a year. Just tells you what the market is. The Eagles also agreed to terms with Bryce Huff as Fletcher Cox announced his retirement. So a lot of things in transition. DeAndre Swift leaves Philly and signs a free agent contract with the Tennessee Titans. Tony Pollard leaves the Cowboys, signs with the Titans or agrees with the Titans. Gabe Davis goes to Jacksonville from Buffalo. Look for the Bills. They need a receiver. They need a receiver because I think Stephon Diggs is on the downside. Former Ram Troy Hill signed an extension with Carolina. Former Ram kicker Greg Zuerlein re-signed with the Jets. And the 49ers put Eric Armstead in the street. That's really interesting because they just paid out all that dough for Javon Hargrave. They're going to look DT in the draft. Or, they brought in Brandon Staley. And it's an interesting thinking there is that you got Nick Sorensen as the DC, and they dumped Armstead. So are they going to find a fourth on that offensive line or that defensive line, or are they going to do something different along that front line for the 49ers? They're going to change things up. Maybe look at a 34 instead of a 43. Raiders released defensive lineman Jerry Tillery, but they upgraded because they signed Christian Wilkins, which is really an under the radar signing by the Raiders. It's huge to put him with Max Crosby, and I think it's Tyree Wilson. There's talent there in Oakland along that front defensive line, and so that was a good move. And then Jim Harbaugh made a move with the Bolts. He signed Gus Edwards. Edwards had a really nice year in Baltimore, and he's coming to play for Harbaugh, and Harbaugh's probably going to run him until his legs drops off, or share whoever he drafts in April will share duties probably with Gus Edwards. And so, yeah, they're going to run till they drop. Also, bye-bye Austin Eckler, right? I don't think that reunion's happening. And Devin Singletary, formerly of Buffalo, now formerly of Houston, goes to the Giants. Like I said, I'm zipping through this kind of fast. My apologies, but there's a lot of stuff happening today. We could talk for hours. My name is Joe Terosian. I was a sports writer for 21 years. I was one of the founding members at Mid-Valley Sports, and those guys are still in the room. They cover the Chargers, so they're really thrilled about Gus Edwards. And I do the Rams, thanks to our sponsors at Mid-Valley, at Kistler Law. Shame on me, Kistler Law. And of course, Temple City Auto Repair. I also write books. My books are found on Amazon, and you can support us there. We don't do a paywall. We don't do a Patreon. So if you want to support us, check out my books and check out our sponsors. And I don't know if we have any questions yet. Let me check. Oh, goodness gracious. We did have some questions. All right, guys. Let me look at Tim Burns. I see us now going another tackle to finalize the rebuilt line. Patrick Paul, University of Houston, 6'7", 315, and mean. Plays with anger and throws pancakes constantly. Hey, Burns, where is he projecting in the draft? Is he in the first round? He's not a first rounder, but is he projected somewhere in the first 100? I love 6'7", 315. I actually saw a rumor or someone was saying maybe since Bakhtiari's on the street, the Rams can sign him as a depth piece, maybe for a league minimum, and use him as a depth piece because he's injured too much. But I thought that would be interesting. Bill, what is the Noteboom situation? I think there's a roster bonus coming to him in a few days or in about a week. It'll be interesting. If something happens, it could happen soon. If it doesn't happen, it means maybe the Rams will keep him in dance. The Rams tendered Alaric Jackson, so they want to keep him. And so it'll be interesting, again, going forward here. I don't know. They made their splash on free agency-wise in terms of offensive line. Would they make a move and move up in the draft? Because it feels like at 19, there's going to be tackles, offensive like tackles and cornerbacks available. So I don't know. I get the feeling they're going to dance with Alaric Jackson at left tackle, and I hope if they do, they keep Noteboom. I know it's a lot of money right now, but it's only for 1 year, and it's about the Super Bowl window. It's not about whether it's fair or not. Of course, it's not worth it to pay a backup the kind of money they're paying him, but if they draft a left tackle really high, that guy's going to be the starter, and then Alaric Jackson will become the new Joe Noteboom, sans the contract. But I don't know. I get a feeling they want to dance with Alaric Jackson, and so we'll see. We'll see in terms of Noteboom. Tim Burns, I think the money is too much for a blocking tight end that does about 1 reception a game for the last 2 years. I get it. But where were you going to spend that? The draft is weak. The draft is weak for tight ends this year, Mr. Burns. And and then free agency, that's where you're going to go. And that was the market. And I don't think it's that bad. I think it's a window signing. I think it's like I shared with you earlier in one of our previous side conversations, it's a window signing. The signing of Colby Parkinson carries us through the end of Tyler Higbee's contract. You got Davis Allen developing, and it's all about 24 and 25. 26 a mystery, because by 26, we don't know what we're going to have in Stafford. We don't know what we're going to have in Donald. We don't know what we're going to have in Cup. But this is about 24 and 25. And so he carries us through. Is he going to be a star? No, I don't think it's a lot of money in terms of that. I think, $7 million a year for a tight end, a little pricey, but you're not paying Davis Allen anything right now. If anything, I just wouldn't have extended Higbee. But there we go on that. Bill, I hope Stafford redoes his deal and frees up more money for the Rams. He didn't want to do that last year. And I don't know, maybe he just wanted to see the direction the Rams were going. What does he make? About 40 rocks a year? And I know that seems crazy, but I'm amazed when people get all uptight when a quarterback's making 40 or 45, 50. Hey, the market for an NFL quarterback now is in the 50s. So, yeah, it would be great if Stafford did. The team has shown a major commitment to him. They have built a great wall in front of him. If you're going to get to Stafford, you're going to have to go around the outside and come in the back door or side door. You're not coming through the front door. You got Avila now, who's moving to center. You got Jonah Jackson, and you got Kevin Dotson. That is a lot of granite in front of Stafford. And so maybe he sees a commitment there. Maybe he makes a move. I hope he does. That would be great. Bill, a 6'7" tight end in the red zone is awesome, and I'm sure that's what the Rams were thinking. Manuel Correa, how's it going? Hey, Manuel, I checked out, was it Miles Cole? Big dude, Texas Tech. Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about him was the production. I wanted a few more sacks. Maybe I got to see more film. Tim Burns, Rams may have added 3 to 5 years to Stafford's career if they keep him off his back, and if he so chooses. I agree. I absolutely agree. And do you get the feeling with these signings? The Rams, it's not just us saying it. The Rams are saying their window is open. All right. Manuel Correa, love Braylon Trice on your mock draft. Totally forgot about him. Well, thank you very much. All the mock drafts, however, have kind of gone out the window just a tiny bit with this madness on the first day of, the first day of tampering, the first day of agreeing to contracts. Bill, the Rams are interested in Andrew Van Ginkel from the Dolphins. Oh, are they? I did not see that. That's interesting. Tim Burns, Handrati's favorite song, My Best Friend's Girl, hit page 300 last night. Love the story. Tim Burns is doing a promo for Tangent Dreams. Where's he at? Tim Burns, Tangent Dreams, My Best Friend's Girlfriend. There you go. Thank you, Tim. Find that on Amazon. Well reviewed. Thank you so much. Bill Bennett seen working out. I saw the video, and that was pretty good. I thought he looked like he put on weight. That's going to be really great when he goes to the USFL. So I kind of hope the Rams keep Carson Wentz, and I kind of hope they draft a guy in the 6th round. That would be really fantastic. Paul projected to go high 70s, low 80s. You know what? If you got the 83rd pick and you got a 6'7", 315 tackle that you could develop, let's draft him and we'll say goodbye to AJ Curry and Logan Bruss. All right. I agree with you, Mr. Burns. Van Ginkel signs with the Vikings. Okay. Dwayne Barker, Van Ginkel signs with the Vikings. All right, cool. Hey guys, let's just keep on yapping. Keep dropping in comments there. I love to chit chat and exchange with you. You guys are really interesting and you make me work harder. There you go. I've noticed getting on here, I've noticed a lot of pushing for Danielle Hunter of late. I like to feel that RamView was ahead of the curve. Anyone want to say RamView was ahead of the curve? I consider you all part of RamView, but I've heard a lot of honking for Danielle Hunter, and that would be cool if they could get it at a great deal. And again, that would free up the Rams, whatever they take care of in free agency, and if they really fill some needs there, then that allows them to draft that best player available. That's the great philosophy you always want to do. That allows them to add depth. And so, yeah, fascinating, huh? Super Bowl window's open. That's what the Rams have said with these signings today. So far this offseason, look what the Rams have done. They've kept Kevin Dotson, check. They re-signed Demarcus Robinson, and I think we are all a check on that. I think we were all happy. They made the critical decision, maybe not for them, but for Rams Nation here. There were a lot of people that thought it was a stupid move, that it wasn't going to happen with Avila, and they apparently are going to move Avila to center, his college position, signed Jonah Jackson at left guard. They've signed a tight end, and they've quietly tendered Alaric Jackson. I think it speaks a lot that they tendered Alaric Jackson. It doesn't mean they can't draft a tackle in the first round or any place else, but they tendered him. And so I think it's because they believe in him, and that's a great move. So I was going to update the guards and tackles because we talked about center last Friday, and we talked about how Mike McAllister was the only true center on this team, unless they brought back Coleman Shelton, or maybe if Avila moved to center. But as it is now, at 2:35 Pacific Standard Time, Steve Avila is the Rams starting center next year. And here's the cool part. He's 25 years old. You're only paying him $2 rocks. Kevin Dotson is the Rams starting right guard. He's 28 years old. He's signed for the next 3 years. Jonah Jackson is 27 years old, and he's your left guard. He's signed for the next 3 years. And then you've got 3 more years at least left with Avila before you have to really start paying him. They have secured the interior of this offensive line through 24, 25, and 26, which is expected to be a Super Bowl window. So that looks really good. Alaric Jackson turns 26 this season. Rob Havenstein is going to be 32. Now that's the age one. Havenstein showed a little bit of wear this year, but that's where the backups come in. That's where we find out what the Rams have. Right now, Mike McAllister is the only other guard or center on the roster. Then there's Grant Miller, who no one knows. And then, of course, there's Joe Noteboom, who's the guy that can plug in anywhere but center. A.J. Curry, Warren McClendon Jr., Zach Thomas, Logan Bruss. I'm very skeptical whether or not we'll ever see Zach Thomas in a regular season game for the Rams again. A.J. Curry, this is his 3rd go-around as a 7th-round pick out of Michigan State. We're going to find out if A.J. Curry has developed. Now, again, Coleman Shelton signed with the Rams in 2019, and it took till 2023 before he became a legitimate starter in this league. And the Rams have done a great job. Again, where do you think they got Alaric Jackson? Undrafted free agent, have developed him, and a competent left tackle. Not a great one, but a competent left tackle. Interesting to see what's going to happen with Warren McClendon Jr. And, of course, everyone's out on Logan Bruss. Okay, and he had the really bad knee injury. He's been with the Rams 2 years, has not played a regular season game. But let's see what he looks like. Now a year off the injury, and maybe he can be into that person that the Rams drafted. Let's give the Rams some credit here. They don't necessarily draft trumps all the time. They hit on some of these draft picks when they're in the later rounds. So just something to think about. Also, Tremaine Ankrum, who was so far has not been tendered or brought back by the Rams. He's still floating around out there. And he could be brought back for a depth piece. No one knows quite sure yet. The interviews have not there's no information, no new information. The Rams are pretty clandestine on their draft interviews the last few years. I've noticed, some places that'll list every player that a team has interviewed for the last 30 years. And the Rams still show Braylon Trice, the Texas linebacker, Jalen Ford. He's more of a 7th rounder right now. Rome Odunze, Bo Nix, and Audric Estime out of Notre Dame. Usually in this time frame here, I post a mock draft, or I share a mock draft that someone has posted. But most of the mock drafts have been blown out of the window, blown out the door because of the free agent period that's opening up. So I went and I looked what was the most recent one. PFF posted a mock draft at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And pretty standard: Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Marvin Harrison. This is not changing. Bears, Taxkins, Patriots, Cardinals. Cardinals taking Harrison, Patriots taking May, Taxkins taking Daniels, and of course the Bears taking Williams. Malik Neighbors going to the Bolts. Romo Dunze, which is interesting. Malik Neighbors jumping Romo Dunze to go to the Bolts. Romo Dunze going to the Giants. Joe Alt, that's the way it figures, going to the Titans. And then you start looking, you got the Vikings now in search of a quarterback. They got them projected to take J.J. McCarthy. And so it'll be interesting to see what the Vikings do because they need a quarterback right now. Broncos, what are they going to do at quarterback? They're projected here in this draft to take Quinyon Mitchell. Saints, they took Troy Fontenot, the Washington tackle. Raiders took Talisi Fuaga, the Oregon State right tackle. Colts took Cooper DeJean at number 15. Seahawks took Byron Murphy, the DT. Jaguars, number 17, took Terry and Arnold. Cincy took Brock Bowers. That's pretty straight. What I have not seen for a few weeks, but I saw it today, we had the Rams. PFF projects the Rams taking Kool-Aid McKinstry at cornerback at number 19. Steelers taking Amarius Mims, that giant from Georgia. And then Jackson Powers Johnson dropping to the Eagles at number 22, looking for a replacement for Jason Kelsey. Moving around here, Cowboys taking Brian Thompson, number 24. Packers taking Zach Frazier, the West Virginia center, at number 25. Leatu Latu, the UCLA guy, going number 26 to the Bucks. Adonai Mitchell, Texas receiver, going to the Lions at 29. Troy Franklin, number 30 to the Ravens. J.C. Latham, the Alabama tackle who was inside the top 10 with most, if not all, the early mock drafts. The 49ers are projected to grab him at 31. Chiefs are projected to take Ladd McConkey at number 32. I wonder if that draft also, I think the news had already broke on Chris Jones. Is Ladd McConkey the guy you take if you're a KC fan? I don't know if I got any KC fans out there. I think he's a great route runner. I think he's really good. He looks like a Ram receiver, right? I'm sure the Chiefs will use him, but something tells me the Chiefs need a burner, right? Don't they need a burner? Just something to think about. Okay, let's keep moving forward in this. Broke down the Rams' schedule for next year. Of course, 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks, Bears, Lions, Patriots, Jets, Saints. And we broke all those down. Looking at the Packers right now, and the Rams finally in 2024 get the Packers at SoFi, right? Welcome to Los Angeles. Packers were 9-8 last year. And look what they've done. They put some veterans in the street to create some cap space. They made the move for Josh Jacobs, and they've got 5 picks in the first 100. The Packers do. Pick 25, pick 41, pick 57, 88, and 91. That is a lot of capital. Rashawn Gary's coming back with 10 sacks. They have found their quarterback, and plus they're flush with picks. Again, I have this in my notes. And they came within an eyelash last year of beating the 49ers in the divisional round of the playoffs in Levi Stadium. And of course, this NFL bump in the salary cap helps them. This is a team that is officially back in contention. Now, I'm going to project the Rams beating them because the Rams are in contention too. But I don't know if I'd be as confident picking the Rams if they were going back to Lambeau this year. Now, I don't know when they play this game. I think it would be only just that if they played this game, they played it in the fall so they could play it in SoFi in the fall and let the Packers stew that they couldn't get the Rams in Lambeau again. But unless the wheels fall off on Jordan Love, unless last year was his ceiling, or he starts to look like he looked at the end of that game throwing that Favre-like pass to end the Frisco game in the playoffs. This is a team that's on the rise, and the advantage the Rams are going to have in this situation is we've got the quarterback who's been there, done that, and they don't, and they might need a year of growing. But Josh Jacobs is going to take a lot of pressure off of him. He's going to be revitalized running behind the Packer offensive line, which is always good. And again, they cleared 37 in cap space with Bakhtiari and Aaron Jones. Just something to think about when we face the Packers next year. On this date, I'm not going to go too deep in it right now. The Rams is not a good day. March 11th, in 2010, Merlin Olsen passed away. In 2019, Willie Ellison passed away. And in 2020, Del Schaffner passed away. And I zipped through a lot of that. I didn't want to go too deep, but yeah, that's where the Rams are right now. Let's look at some of the questions that have kind of popped back in. Manuel Correa, I can see Les and Sean sliding back a couple times and picking up late first round and getting some picks. I could see that too. I would, I thought about that. I made it in my notes that if they were to move up, they would have to move up for something seriously special. Seriously special. Because there's depth on this offensive line on the offensive line in this draft. You can find, as Tim Burns was talking about with the Patrick Paul dude out of Houston, there's depth here that you can find later in the first 100 if you wanted to add some depth in the offensive line. So if I'm going to move up, I better get something really special. I better get a Joe Alt if I move up, right? And then at corner, they're going to get a corner at 19. If they want a corner, there'll be a corner there. Terrion Arnold's dropped back. Kool-Aid McKinstry's moved up. Nate Wiggins is there. Cooper DeJean is all over the board. Quinyon Mitchell, of course. He's the one that seems to consistently be rising. But there's talent there, right? There's a lot of talent there. And so what are we going to move up for? Because whatever we move up for, it better be really, really special. Special, right? So if it's not that, then you're definitely going to move back. And if you move back, yeah, you just add more talent. And again, last year, the Rams needed to make some of those moves to move back to pick up 14 draft picks because they were restocking their team. I don't think they need to draft more than 11 players this year, but they got places here. They're higher up in the queue to where in the first 100, they can actually draft players to be serious contributing depth players. So yeah, it is exciting. But I could see them moving back. It's definitely something that can happen there, Manuel. Let's see what else we got here. Tim Burns, Snead is plugging all the gaps on offense. Smart because it'll keep our franchise quarterback here. He better get to the defense, though. What do we need on defense, right? I think something that we're overlooking a little bit that maybe we should think about, we haven't talked about it for a while, is the idea of getting a run stuffer, right? Getting a run stuffer. I remember last year when Greg Gaines left for Tampa Bay, someone talked about it. I don't know where it was. Maybe it was Cam DeSilva at Rams Wire. Maybe it was Mark at Rams Up. Someone mentioned it, that they said, maybe this is a sabbatical year for Greg Gaines, that the Rams, of course, couldn't afford to sign him last year. He goes to Tampa for a year and then can come back. He didn't have a great year in Tampa, so he might be available. But Bobby Brown is in his last year of the contract. I kind of like Bobby Brown. He's slowly developing. But are you going to re-sign him? You might just let him walk for a comp pick, and you might want to replenish and grab somebody. You've got your Kobe Durant, you've got your Aaron Donald, but you need that fat guy, that run stuffer. And some people mentioned A'Shawn Robinson coming back. I'd rather have Bobby Brown than A'Shawn Robinson. Now Robinson, his last game with the Rams, no, his last game wasn't that game. It was last in 2022. He had a great Super Bowl for the Rams, right? He was fantastic in the Super Bowl. But Robinson wasn't always available. He didn't seem like he was always there. He seemed he took some games where it's a horrible thing to say. It seemed like he just didn't show up for some games. And so maybe the Rams, Byron Murphy, maybe there is a DT they're looking at to be that run beast that they need. That would take some pressure off of Ernest Jones, free him up. I've been advocated. I want to see Jones utilized more in the pass rush, move him around a little bit more. That's something to think about at number 19, is that maybe the Rams could look at a defensive player on the front line there, a real run stuffer, let alone we need an edge and all that. We do need another edge. I agree, Mr. Burns. That's another spot. We need edge and we need a corner. I'm not worked up about safety. I think we can bring John Johnson back for a song. Jordan Fuller's gone, but you got Russ Yeast, you got Quentin Lake, you drafted Jason Taylor. You got these guys for a reason. And so the Rams will just draft another safety this year too. And as we've seen around the NFL, safeties are being put in the street. Justin Simmons was put in the street. The Seahawks blew out their entire safety class. And so depending on your defense, for the most part, safeties are not high price guys. Let's find another edge, maybe in free agency. Let's get that run stuffer in the middle, and let's get that corner. So just something to think about. If this, you got a different thought there, Mr. Burns. Okay. What do we got here? Bill, with all that beef on the line, did the Rams take a veteran running back in free agency? I think I made a suggestion that, look at A.J. Dillon. He's worth 3 rocks according to market value. My feeling about a running back is, you don't want to pay too much for him. And you drafted Zach Evans last year. We like Ronnie Rivers. He's he's the poor man's Kyron Williams, right? You can bring back Royce Freeman. And then we got to find out if Zach Evans can develop. I'm sure the Rams could draft another running back. I don't have any problem with that. Just keep drafting them every year like you do safeties, right? And stuff. But it's just a matter of the cost. And if it's going to take away a few mil to keep us from getting that edge guy, then I really don't want that running back, that veteran running back out there. Gus Edwards would have been a nice signing. I like Gus Edwards, but that's interesting. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. I wouldn't want to pay them any money for that. Tim Burns, at this rate, DeJean will be projected to go number 5 by draft day in the mock drafts. I've seen him all over the yard. Cooper DeJean, Mr. Burns. I've seen him everywhere. He just late first round, inside the top 10. I've seen him everywhere. And so, yeah, you just don't know. The only corner that is consistently moving up the board is Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. And I think everyone's fallen in love with him. And Terrion Arnold, the Alabama guy, has fallen way back. Mr. Burns, Blake Fisher, tackle, Notre Dame, 6'6", 312, projected in the 60s, another guy on tape, and he's strong. Absolutely. He is a right tackle. Someone corrected that. There you go. Manuel Cross said that. There you go. Korea said that. He is a right tackle, and I have no problem drafting a Blake Fisher. If he's there at 83, let's take Blake Fisher. I have no problem. We got to run all those guys in there. You got to run. You got to find out if Logan Bruss is healed and if he can play. You got to find out if Warren McClendon can play. You got to find out. Draft a Blake Fisher at 83. No harm, no foul if you miss, but find it, because Havenstein is getting older. He is. He's just getting older. I love Rob Havenstein, most underrated Ram, probably, along with Mark Bulger. We should create an all underrated Ram 21st century team, put Mark Bulger at quarterback and put Rob Havenstein at right tackle, because people just forget about these guys that have just been really solid for a number of years. But yeah, so there you go. I think I got most of it out there. If you guys have another question, throw it at me. But I'd love to find out, what are you thinking about edge? Are we in a mindset here that we don't want Latu from UCLA at 19? I don't. Or we have a mind that we want that free agent. The next free agent signing has to be an edge player. I don't think there's a corner out there that, you're going to re-sign Witherspoon probably. But is there another corner out there? I mean, Darius Williams, do you want to pay? Darius Williams is turning 30. He has on years and off years. But he's turning 30, and they're talking double digits for him. And I don't know if I'd love the reunion, but I don't think I want Darius Williams back. That's why, again, I'm leaning corner at 19, or depending on when they move. USA expat, you mentioned Alt, but I also see a second player that might be worth moving up for. Ooh, Quinyon Mitchell. Would you do that? Wow. That's an interesting one, considering where Quinyon Mitchell was when the offseason began and where he's at right now, right? That's a really interesting one. Would anyone out there move up for Quinyon Mitchell? Man, then the belief, right? The belief. And the only thing I would say, just in terms of his trending, he was out of the first round, then he pops into the first round. Then he pops in at 19 to the Rams. And then he just slowly, as Hank Stram would say, matriculates up the boards, right? And so, yeah, that's a great question. Bill, you're saying, Bill, it has to be an edge rusher. Edge rusher at number 19? Let me know. Edge rusher at number 19. Okay, and then great show, Joe. Thanks, Mr. Burns. Thank you, Mr. Burns. All right, guys. Hey, I'm hitting the 45-minute mark. I want to respect your time, and I probably need to hit some other work myself. But thank you guys for clicking on. Thank you for your questions. And something breaks, I might do a short show for my other other side of my desk here, my other side of the studio here. If something breaks that's really big, I might slip a short 5-minute show in tomorrow. Okay, guys, please hit subscribe, leave your comments, and hit share. Check out joetarosian.com. Sometimes I posted my recent mock draft there. Check me out on Amazon. And if you could support the show, check out one of my football books, and we'll go from there. But thanks, guys. Okay, free agency, edge rusher. I agree, Bill. Thank you so much. I do agree with that. Thank you guys for clicking on. We will be talking to you soon. God bless. Take care. This is a great day for the Rams.